All right, everybody, welcome to our first ever Educated Fed podcast. My name's Alex Wellings. This is Mr. Caine Crawford,
Caine Crawford,
the CEO and founder of FEAG. And, this idea, this whole show concept kind of came from the idea of, you had mentioned to me, we do these classes all the time. We talk about federal benefits in a really official, standardized way, right? Every time we do those classes, and why not have a more, let's kind of showcase the kind of dialogues that we have all the time that brings, like how we find the information that we give in our presentations all the time.
And so much of it comes from questions that we get either from the class or just from our day-to-day interactions with the feds.
Yeah.
People wanting to know what's this, what's that.
Yeah. The world probably needs another podcast like they need a headache, but this is one of those things that so many of your clients have asked you to be, like, why don't you do a show? It'd be really great to tune in more and more and just hear what your thoughts are on more current events, because when we do these classes, it's always Fed benefits. What are they?
It's cut and
How
dry.
do we maximize it?
Right.
Come in for analyses and you help these people, but we have dialogues all the time about what we think's going on with the government, what that might mean for federal retirements, our benefits changing, and we wanted to have some sort of platform where we could obviously talk on that and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, the conversations like I have every day with an individual Fed all across the country, are the same questions that everybody has.
Yeah.
So when you and I are, talking about how we answer all these questions, why not let more people have the answers?
Sure.
Maybe more readily available. That's the idea anyway.
And touch more like current events too. That was the big thing. I really wanted to be, it's like we get so many appointments each month of people that are coming in, and they are generally around benefits, right? Like they have questions about their benefits, but it's because of some current event that's happening.
It's something that caused them to go, oh, am I ready for that? Or do I need to worry about that?
Yeah.
Is that going to affect me as a federal employee?
So the idea of the show, of course, is to just say, hey, here's the most pressing current event that we're seeing in the news right now. Let's talk to you, or you can join us each and every time here on the show. And we're talking about this major event that's happening and what that actually might mean for your benefits. Should you worry about it? Should you not worry about it? And just unpack that detail as much as possible in as short a time as we possibly can. All right.
That sounds like a plan.
And so this week, you want to talk a little bit about basically the return to work stuff that they're talking about.
That's the biggest concern I'm getting when I'm talking to people every day is, what if? Like, what's that mean for me? You hear both sides, right? Am I going to have a job, on January 21st? Or do I got to worry?
Yeah.
And nobody really knows what's going to happen or what even can happen, like we've talked about. But, yeah, let's just get an idea. The idea would really be to, if you've got that concern, know that we're a resource, one, and we've got some knowledge about kind of how it's going to affect you as a Fed as they make each decision that's going to come down the pipe.
Yeah.
Right.
And just so everybody knows, if you're not already in the know, there's always an opportunity for you to set up a time to talk with Caine about anything that is concerning you with your retirement benefits or your employee benefits, whatever it might be. Are you about to retire? Are you a long way off from retirement? Whatever it is, Caine has done a fantastic job over the years of just making sure he's giving great advice to folks, sound financial and retirement advice on, hey, this is what you should be worried about, what you shouldn't be worried about. This is how the benefits work. This is how they don't work. And it's just backed by so many years of experience.
What you can control, what you can't control.
Right.
And ultimately, it's never too early to ask these questions.
Yeah.
And I always like to say it's really never too late either. As long as you're asking the question, we're going to get you educated, hence the Educated Fed. We're going to make sure you know what decisions you are going to have to make. And then ultimately you have the answers, to those questions as they come up down the road.
So return to work.
This is the big one.
This is the big one, right? We're saying over and over and over again. And so I guess the general idea seems to be Trump, his second administration is about to start here on January 20th or 21st, whatever you're going to say.
Whatever day.
But they are going to come in, and they've mentioned already many times that one of the big, this Department of Government Efficiency is going to start kind of giving advice on what to do to make the government a little more efficient. We don't know exactly what that means, but the one thing they've definitely mentioned is we want people back in the office.
Got a lot of empty offices.
A lot of empty
We got a lot
offices
of questions, I think, around the efficiency over the
of
last 4
remote
years
work,
of
right?
remote work,
Right,
right?
right.
Some people maybe are claiming they're more efficient
Yeah,
because they didn't need to be in the office because I'm on a computer all day anyway,
yeah.
whatever. But
Arguably true.
yeah,
Arguably so. I
totally,
mean,
right?
there's definitely some positions out there, and you and I know them. We sit down with these folks all the
Oh,
time
yeah.
where they've become more effective
They
being
get a
remote,
lot more work done because they aren't in the office hearing the chatter,
getting
right?
distracted,
There's
stuff
no
like
water
that.
cooler distractions. Hey, let's go get lunch and
Yeah.
spend 2 hours. But yeah, so it comes down to who are those people really going to be?
Who are they going to be,
And
and how quickly would this happen? That's the other one that
that's
I
the
keep getting is
that's the key is
is it going to be that I have to go back February 1st? Like they're going to say next month, everybody be back, or you're going to get your retirement papers served?
right.
And I'm like, maybe the most important thing is to understand that nothing in the government seems to
Moves fast.
happen that quickly.
No, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, we can just go back to the what was it, the TSP Modernization Act of 2017?
Yeah.
Didn't happen until 2019.
Right.
So,
Right.
so even though, yeah, he's got a 4-year term and this is going to happen, it might take all 4 years to really figure out where the efficiencies or lack of efficiencies really are.
So the way is I've understood it in many articles and kind of reading through and just over the last few years getting to know people's situations. Essentially, it seems like there's been a waiver put in place by the Biden administration to say
That
there is some sort of right to remote work and that people can work from home. And Trump says I'm going to come in and I'm going to undo that waiver. And that won't be that simple. It's likely going to go to court at that point because it'll get challenged. You have to understand a lot of the positions are unionized,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's a lot of unions out there. There's a lot of folks that are going to lobby for one style of work versus the other.
right.
I mean, and you were saying before we came on, like over the years, you've had so many people talk to you about, hey, look, I've been retirement eligible. What was it that you were exactly
Oh, yeah.
saying?
So really, it all happened in 2020, right? When COVID
Right.
was changing the world, we had no idea what was happening. People were getting sent home. There was a huge percentage. I mean, I think at that point, 56% of the workforce was eligible to retire.
Yeah.
It's always around that 50. It seems like it's slowly lowering. But we had a lot of folks calling into the office almost every day. Hey, I'm eligible, but they're sending me home to
Yeah,
work.
everybody was scared,
Why?
right? Because it's like the COVID thing was
Yeah.
coming in. They thought they were just going to get shut down.
Yeah. I'm like, and then they went, oh, wait, I can keep my job and I can go home?
Yeah.
So that means I could retire, but not retire, stay with the job. So we have a bunch, and I don't know, I mean, just in our office alone, it's something like 30% of our database, people who call in every day, could have left in 2020.
Really?
Right? And they said, well, I'll stick it out. I'll keep working because it's actually good money. I'm actually getting more stuff done. I kind of like my job again because
Well,
I
why
don't have to see
wouldn't
that
you?
one coworker anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of reasons people stuck around. But then I get that same answer though. Oh, but if they make me go back to work, I'll probably just turn in my papers, which makes a lot of sense. And that's kind of what I thought. Even this first episode could be, if you're in that boat, we need to probably talk because if it comes down to you and your agency going, it's time to go back to work.
Yeah.
And we know there's a lot of folks that were I've talked to several people that were remote prior to COVID.
Yeah.
I don't think you guys have any questions, right? You're not going to be told to go back to work because you're already remote. But it's the ones that actually got sent home for COVID that have been just enjoying the time. That's the first group of people we should probably talk to.
Sure.
About, hey, are you ready? If it comes down to you've got to say, I'm going back or I'm leaving. What do we need to do to shore up your finances, your pension numbers, all that stuff today? In case that happens, say a month or two or even 5 months down the road, are you ready and can you pull the trigger?
Yeah. I always suspect, I don't know why this, but I always seem to suspect. I mean, first off, I've been doing this a decade. You've been doing it a lot longer.
Almost 2, yeah.
Right. So for me, in this last 10 years, the big thing is I found is there's like 2 buckets. Everybody wants to retire, right? Everybody wants to retire. Some people can't wait to retire, and those people retired the second 2020 happened, right? Or the second they were eligible.
I'm not messing with this. I'm out. Yeah.
But then there's this other group of folks that are desperately want to retire, but they desperately want it to be the right time. They want it to feel like, there's this kind of walk off into the sunset moment, and it's never the case. It's never a good time for you to retire. Kind of like if you have kids or you've ever had kids, it's never a good time to have kids,
Yeah,
right? You
right.
just have to kind of suck it up and
You
do
hear that?
it.
"Well, I'll wait till we're ready."
Yeah, you're
You're
never
never
gonna
gonna
be
be ready.
ready. It's always gonna be that it's always gonna be a scary thing, and it's the same thing with retirement, and I find myself always, talking people into retirement. It's like, just it's gonna be
Oh,
fine,
I do it all the time.
but it starts with not having a great plan there, and, and being confident in the plan,
Yeah.
and so what I end up finding is folks are saying, "Hey, they offer me this work from home position, and so might as well just
We'll
stay." It's
try
like,
it.
but the root of that is you just aren't comfortable yet,
I don't
and
know what
that's why you
retirement
continue
looks
to
like.
work.
Yeah.
And what I fear is if it's go back to work, everybody's gonna initially start this kind of like, maybe I should just retire conversation, maybe their spouse or something like that. And then what ends up happening is they don't feel confident in whatever plan they have with their spouse, even if it does financially seem okay. They go back to the office, and then they're just kicking the can on the road of they're going to actually pull the trigger on retirement, and now they work another year in the office and another year in the office, another year in the office. And what I've always tried to educate clients on, and I see you doing the same, is if you do this kind of kick the can down the road type of thing, that just realize if you're eligible to retire and you kick the can down on your retirement because you don't feel confident in your plan, or maybe it's just, you're waiting for that sunset moment, that perfect moment. Just remember, you're losing not just any years of your retirement, you're losing the best years of your retirement. Your best years are going to be undoubtedly, statistically, your first few years of retirement while you're young. Any type of years in kind of like your 60s, or in good health, really. That could be in the 70s too.
The whole go-go, slow-go, and no-go
Right.
years, right? I
And
mean,
a lot of people end up going like into the no-go years before they actually start to.
people are pushing. I've got 4 or 5 people I've been talking to for the last 4 or 5 years, even before COVID, that are now 70 because of COVID. They're, "Well, I'll just keep working."
Yeah,
I mean, we don't know if we got 80 years of our life. We don't know if we have 90.
yeah,
I'm with you, though. I mean, what I've figured out is the folks that I've been able to get out the door, whether I talked them into it or just finally gave them that aha moment of, I have actually done what it takes to get there. They call me back every year. Like, we talk every year, and they're just happier, and their grin is bigger.
yeah,
Like, "I can't believe I didn't do this sooner.
yeah.
Like, why did I wait?"
It's not a surprise though. Like, people just don't do well with change. We
Well,
all
that's the
know that
kicker.
about ourselves. We don't do well with change, and we like our routines.
And I think, yeah, when you don't understand something, it's easy to just avoid it for a
Yeah,
minute, right?
yeah.
And that's what I
too
find.
tall mountain I don't want to conquer.
Yeah, and that's what I find is the biggest reason people don't retire when they should have or could have. Maybe could have. The should have thing is, yeah, whatever. But that's a hindsight, right? I got sick at 65. I should have retired at 60 instead of 63,
Yeah.
right? Whatever. But if you know what your picture looks like, and we've said it in all of our classes, and we'll talk about it, on a one-on-one basis. But if you've got X amount of dollars in the thrift, you've got X amount of years on the job, and your Social Security coming, most feds are going to make as much money or more money on a bring home level as they are when they're working.
Yeah.
So once people see that, all this other stuff kind of goes away, right? You just had to have something to maybe tip the scale.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of those folks, I'm hoping, we're talking to you today, is you were that person who said, "Hey, I'm going to stick around, keep my $140,000 a year job or $100,000 a year job because I'm at home. I'm spending more time with my spouse or my kid, and I still get the job done. But if I have to go back,
Don't pull the trigger.
let's talk, let's become that educated Fed, know what it looks like, so I feel good about it."
Yeah.
And
And then if you want to go back, go back.
yeah,
But if you don't want to go back,
done.
done and be done
Call
with it. I highly encourage it because, I've seen it too many times. Even with my own father, I've seen this. You go back to the office, and then again, it's just so much easier. There's a serious point. Like, you're going to have to deal with some change potentially.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying, again, like we started off, it's going to take a while before they like officially get this done. But Trump's administration does seem like the dog with a bone here. They want efficiency to happen. So if it takes a while for it to get done or whatever, it seems like this might happen. You're going to experience some change in your life. You might have to go back to work. Maybe it's a hybrid settlement, like they settle on some hybrid schedule, or it's a full back to work thing. Either way, this could be a change moment, and you owe it to yourself. Get a check done if you can, just on the health of your current benefits, your financial situation. Could you survive in retirement if it was? and then make the decision of going back. Because if you go back and do this thing, or you're going back to the office, now it's going to be even easier for you to kick that can a little bit
Yeah,
longer,
to
and I think
stay.
most folks would regret it.
I think so.
Looking back on it at the end of their retirement, they'll be like, I wish I had just had like maybe a couple more years.
I just wish. Yeah.
That's the thing with our oldest clients. Those are the conversations. Is like, I wish I had just done it a little bit earlier. Think about your clients that are like 5 years into their retirement, 6 years into retirement. How many of them are like, nah, I'm just looking for something to do with my mind, and I want to go back to work a little
Yeah,
bit.
right.
I have very few of those. Most of them is like, man, I should have done it sooner. We're having a blast. This has been really great.
Yeah, no, they're 99% of the folks are happy.
Yeah.
Some of them are busybodies, and they go do something fun.
They do something fun.
They go
Like
do
my
something
mother is a
else.
lot like that. She's having fun doing volunteer work. She was a teacher forever, and she retired, and she had a little bit of fun for maybe a year or so, and then she found herself like doing volunteer jobs. All the things she wished she could have done as a teacher,
Right.
doing specific little things, but she has the casualty of being like, I don't need to be here, and so I come on
That's
the
the
days I
best.
want to come there, and I don't come on the other days.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the folks that I've helped in just recent years say that I wish I would have done it sooner, but then they also say, I don't know, I'm doing so much other stuff now that I don't know how I even work. Like, I think I was doing most of this when I was working, but now it feels like I'm doing way more.
Yeah, you're
Like,
enjoying
how
it.
did I even have time to work? And I'm glad that I finally got rid of that old thing, right? But again, I think it just still comes back to am I in the position where I can, and knowing that you are, right? And that's where we come in really is, hey, we look at your situation. We can tell you literally in one conversation if you can or if you can't. And then it's up to you to believe the numbers, right? Numbers don't lie typically.
Yeah, I see you. You then tend to spend a few appointments or meetings getting them comfortable with it. You'll know in those first appointments, like, hey, you're good. We can make this work. And then it's like a few appointments of showing you like how it would work,
Yeah.
getting them really comfortable
Oh,
with the
yeah.
plan, and making sure it's exactly what they want in retirement. I find you doing that, and that's a beautiful thing. And even when people don't choose to pull the trigger and go in retirement right then, they feel a lot more confident leaving your office, I think,
Yeah.
or at least
Oh, no, yeah.
leaving those meetings.
I get a couple of consistent, responses.
Yeah.
My favorite is the one, it's, almost, it's either joyful or almost to tears, like, I was hoping this was the answer.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I'm so glad, and I'm leaving tomorrow. Like, I love that when people say, "Oh yeah, I thought I had to
I
go at the
love
end of
that.
next year.
That's
How
great.
how soon?" I'm like, "Well, make it 90 days. Make sure OPM can keep up with you." But that's my favorite. Like I said, we'll know
That's why we
within
got
our
into
first
it.
conversation. You've got this.
Mhm.
If we help you do it, you're done. And when people just take that and go, "Let's do it," you've been ready for a minute, right? Those people just go, "Let's go," and then they're gone. And then I'm still talking with a gal yesterday who we've been talking with for 6 months,
Yeah.
who should have retired 2 or 3 years ago, really. And she's just now coming around to okay, I think it's real. I think I
Mm.
can really do it. And we just have to,
That's the truth.
let us put the numbers on paper. Let us, and we'll build the income plan and show you where you're at.
Yeah.
So, I don't
I
know.
got into this business because I thought I liked finance, right? Like, I really enjoyed finance. I loved that element of it. A lot of my buddies were going into this world. I think it gets a lot of glamour, I think, in the
Right.
world,
The
right?
finance world.
The
right.
finance world.
Numbers, dollars.
I've learned to love this business and why I am in this business because of that 5-year mark where clients come back in and it's like, this is the best. You see that huge smile on their
They
face.
still love you.
They love you to pieces because they've been able to accomplish this thing that we work so hard in the American culture for, which is, we provide a great working career for ourselves, to provide ourselves with this end result of, I don't need to work anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And if we can help somebody achieve that sooner, that's where I'm like, man, that's the golden ticket to happiness.
That really
in
is.
our position is like, can I help them achieve it earlier so I can see that smile on their face sooner?
Yeah.
Especially when they got like grandkids involved in this scenario, man. Oh, I love that. Where they're like, yeah, I'm spending every day with my grandkids. I'm watching them grow. I'm doing all the things I didn't get to do with my kids.
Right, because I was working.
because I was
traveling
working,
or
right?
whatever, right?
Gosh, I love that.
That's the best. We're in the people business at the end of the day.
Sure.
You know, I think I in my book I wrote, and I told the story, I went to college pre-med,
Yeah.
right? Realizing I'm not a science guy, I'm a numbers guy. It didn't take long to figure out that I'm going to go numbers, graduate with a finance degree, years later,
Yes.
not even knowing how I'm going to get to this position, but always with that goal of wanting to help people, right? And wanting to help people achieve whatever they were achieving. And this is probably the biggest fulfillment that I could have ever thought of, is getting people to, with that big grin on their face, going, I can really retire and go spend time with my spouse or my grandkids,
All right.
right? So
So DOGE, the whole government Department of Government Efficiency, the return to work ordinance that we're talking about here. In summary, it's not going to be an immediate thing. Don't think it's going to be a January 21st thing. They might start that fight then, but it's going to draw itself out for a little bit. But what is something of urgency is if you're somebody out there that's concerned about this, it's the time is now to start getting those ducks in a row and making sure you're confident. Doesn't mean that you need to pull the trigger. Just means that it'll give you the confidence to pull the trigger. It's one less thing you need to think about, at least one giant thing you need to think about when you make that decision of whether you are going to return to work or you just pull the trigger and you go into those retirement years. I say booking an appointment, just having that consultation, get it done quickly rather than trying to decipher through all of the false information that exists out there online or through people that aren't certified to do so. Caine is a federal retirement consultant with a designation that basically says, you've done this, you know this stuff inside and out. We both are. But that's my big worry, is that people go and get bad information from people that don't know and skip that.
just because somebody told you something, believe what they say, believe none of what you hear, only half of what you see.
Yeah.
And now with AI, you're supposed to believe anything you see.
Oh
or
my
hear,
gosh,
right?
yeah,
So-
I know
but
now.
but that's where we're here. I think, for kind of our opening episode of this podcast, the basics of, hey, we can help you get to the point of, can I, should I, or do I need to stick it out? And we can answer those three questions. And maybe future episodes, we'll get into maybe the background of, well, what if DOGE does come through, and we can talk about Vera, VSIPs, and RIFs, and kind of some of the specifics.
Yeah. All right, enough for today. Thanks for joining us, and we'll hope you join us for more. Take care.
Sounds good.